1 second. All right, Omar, we'll open up with a few comments and we'll open up for questions.
What's up, guys? Great to see everyone. I did want to start by just kind of acknowledging Fred Wolfley. This is the first camp since I've been here where he won't be here, and won't see him every day in front of Benedict Hall. And I think I speak for everyone in here when I say that we miss him. And hopefully he's looking down proudly at all of us, and we make him proud this year. So Wolf, we miss you. To the community here, as always, I just want to thank them for embracing us and having us here. I've been coming here since 2001, with the exception of the two COVID years where we didn't come here, and it's been awesome. We don't take our time here for granted, and we appreciate the way how welcoming the community is. The people here are great, and obviously having our fans here is just awesome. And I can't wait to see them and meet a bunch of them here. I think the last time I spoke to you guys was after we traded for George, so I'll just mention a couple of things that we've done. Obviously, we signed Aaron Rodgers, and can't wait for the fans to kind of get to know him. And we've been getting to know him, and it's been really cool. And I'm excited for you guys to get to know him and our fans, and feel good about having him lead our team, our offense, and so I think you guys will speak to him here at some point, and excited to have him. What else have we done? We traded for Jalen and Jonnu Smith, and you guys have heard me several times talk about how important position flexibility is for me, and that's what those guys are. Those guys are both Pro Bowl players that, in my opinion, in our opinion, can line up in different places on the field and do some exciting things. And we'll see how it all shakes out. That's what training camp's for. We'll figure out the roles, but just really, really excited to have those guys on board. I think they're going to help us. And again, those are guys that just getting to know them over the last few weeks. Guys that are our players. I think you guys and the fans are really going to enjoy having around. What else have we done? We extended Deshaun Elliott. Deshaun, we signed him last year to a 2-year deal, and it was really a good experience for us and for him. And it just made sense to extend him. And we realize he's a player we want to have around, and not that we didn't have the expectations when he came on board of who he was going to be and how good of a player he was, but it made sense for us to extend him, and I'm glad we got that done. What else am I missing here? Obviously TJ, we got TJ finalized, and I said, I think when I met with you guys at the combine, I was asked about that, and it was always very important for me and for the organization to have TJ be a one helmet Hall of Famer, and hopefully he's got several years left, and we feel really, really good about having him locked up and excited, and so here we are, and I'm not sure if I missed anything you guys want to ask about, but free to take any questions.
Omar, how important was it for you to get TJ under contract before camp, take away a distraction, and did it come about any quicker than maybe you thought it was going to?
I'll be honest with you, Jerry. I think these things sort of, I'm sure when you guys negotiate all your big deals with your company, also you guys realize sometimes these things takes longer than you would like. But I always felt good about getting it done. When it happened, it happened last week, and it all came together. We had conversations obviously since early in the offseason, and it just kind of came together last week or the week before that, and it was good, and it's nice to have it done before we get here. I think he's excited, we're excited, and I think hopefully the fans are excited, and here we go.
Omar, what went into the decision to have move on from Minka, for lack of a better phrase?
Yeah, I don't know if it necessarily was moving on from Minka. We had an opportunity to acquire 2 Pro Bowl players that we felt with where we are as a team made sense for us. Have a lot of respect for Minka. Minka was a great football player for a few years for us, and wish him the best. But it was really the opportunity to acquire these 2 players that we think can help us.
So what is the thinking at that safety position then? Is that to be filled by Thornhill, or is Ramsey going to play a lot of that role? How do you fill that void then with what you've got? Are you looking outside? Yeah,
we signed Juan. That's not to say we won't look to see what else is out there, but part of being a training camp is for us to kind of figure out and get to know the players that we have and see how those roles are going to take, how they're going to come together. And you know, I'm sure you guys will ask coach throughout training camp about how these guys are progressing and what he's seeing, but that's really what training camp is, to help us sort through all that out.
Omar, when you started the process going into the offseason, did you have a big picture in mind of what you wanted the roster to look like? And how close did you come to realizing that?
That's a good question, Mike. You know, we lay out a plan. You know, obviously coming off of last year, which was disappointing the way it ended, we had a plan, an idea of what we want. We had a vision of what we wanted this team to look like. And, you know, to tell you there that we laid out a plan and everything happened 100%, you know, that wouldn't be honest of me to say that. But we think it came together pretty nicely. We filled some needs, and we acquired some players that are, you know, stealers. You guys heard me use that phrase before. And so, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say it was 100% the way we planned it, and I don't think that's the case for anybody, but it came together.
And as you did that, were you looking for specific guys or specific types at the various positions?
You know, every one of those things is a case-by-case issue. You never know what players are going to be available. You know, what players want to come here. So it was, every one of those is just an individual, I guess, situation.
Did you? A lot of people have looked at your busy offseason and said the Steelers are all in. Would you describe it in that way? Do you think that's a fair description?
I mean, our goal is to win a Super Bowl, so we're building this team to win a Super Bowl this year. You know, that's our goal. At the same time, part of my job is to manage, make sure we don't sacrifice or do things that'll hurt us in the future. You know, because our goal is to obviously sustain success over time. But yeah, we're looking to win a Super Bowl.
Omar, TJ just said,
Did you envision this much change when you set out to lay out that plan, that you would bring this many new faces in?
I wouldn't say exact, you know, we didn't have a number in place, but, you know, the way we ended last year wasn't good enough. And we talked about change having to happen. I know people maybe expected change sooner than later, but change doesn't always happen at the pace everybody expects. But we knew changes had to be made, and here we are.
Omar, TJ was just in, he said he's excited about this new team because you're partly responsible for building this new team. What do you feel? Are you excited? Are you curious? Or what's your approach? Are you nervous? What?
I'd say excited and curious. You know, Jerry, a lot of thought goes into every one of these decisions. It's not just, hey, you know, Jerry Dulac's available, let's trade for him. He's the best guy
deal.
out there. What's that?
Be a good deal.
Yeah, good deal. And you know, I'm like everyone else. You know, I'm in this role, but I'm excited to watch these guys perform on the field and see how our team comes together. And obviously, we have expectations for ourselves, but we, you know, we're just going to do our best and try to get better every day.
Is it tough to be patient with Aaron Rodgers? I'm sure you obviously knew more than we did, but those months going by and there was no official decision yet. Were you ever wondering that this might not work out?
You know, we obviously were having conversations. You know, some people might view my patience or our patience as a weakness, but we view it as a strength. You know, we just felt good about it. You know, if there was a point where we didn't think things would end up where we wanted to end up, we would have, you know, gone in a different direction. But we just felt comfortable and felt good about it. And, you know, we wanted Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers wanted to be a Steeler, and it worked out.
Over the last 2 years, Minka saw less and less deep ball targets where he could make a play on. That's the thing Juan Thornton even just today was talking about, like, hey, like, Minka was still playing well. People aren't giving him shots. Was that part of the impetus to bring Jalen Ramsey in exchange, because he's a guy that can naturally play closer to the line of scrimmage at cornerback and still be a turnover creator for you guys?
You know, I'll just say, you know, Jalen, you know, as I mentioned earlier, he's got some position flexibility. I think you guys will see he's going to line up in different places on the field and can do some exciting things. And I mean, he's proved it. I mean, his resume speaks for itself.
Omar, you acquired a number of players older than 30. Obviously, Aaron is in his 40s. Extended TJ until he'll be 34 at the end of this deal. What steps do you take to try to make sure that you're protected as an organization when you're acquiring older players? And are you concerned about the age of your team and the potential for injuries and things like that?
Yeah, I mean, we're not concerned about the age. I think we're going to be smart how we handle those guys. But you know, every one of these is a case-by-case issue, and it's just part of the process on how things come together. But we're not trying to do anything that's going to hurt us in the future. Every decision we make is important not only for this year but for the next couple of years.
When you're making a move at the magnitude of the Ramsey, do you get to talk to numerous people, say, is he open to playing other positions other than outside corner? And did Mike's had dinner with him, this is 8 years ago or whatever, but is that relationship, does Mike say, hey, I can vouch for him or whatever as a guy, as a player?
Sure. Before you make these type of decisions and, you seal the deal, you like to have the opportunity to, you have a conversation with the agent or sometimes the teams give you permission to speak to the player directly. And, we are always going to be very transparent about what our expectations are, what are the roles, what the role's going to be. And, if both sides didn't feel comfortable, we wouldn't have done it.
Omar, you guys had a really busy offseason to this point. Do you anticipate looking at any other extensions for guys that are currently on the roster or acquiring outside talent, whether wide receiver, safety, anything else that comes available?
In terms of extensions, there's nothing going on right now. Could there be a player maybe that we think about? Sure. I mean, that option's still available. I think you also said about acquiring other players. I'll be honest with you. We made a lot of moves this year, and I feel really good about where our team is right now. So to say that we're out there trying to find someone, and that's not the case. If an opportunity comes available, we'll look at it. But I feel really good about our team.
Along the lines, Omar, then with the acquisition of Jonnu, did you acquire him with the thinking of he can be our second receiving option if we need him to be, or were you acquiring him thinking if I don't get a guy, he can fill that role?
So I loved his flexibility. If you look at where he played last year, and even when Arthur had him a couple years ago, he lines up at receiver. I hate to say that he's going to be the number 2 because obviously different plays and different packages require players to be the different target in a specific play. But he has the ability to play receiver, outside receiver, inside receiver, tight end. He can line up in the backfield. It's just he gives you so many options on what you can do, and that also impacts who else you have on the field and what they can do.
Omar, what did you learn about maybe your receiver depth through OTAs and minicamp, and how do you feel about just the receiver group going into first practice?
Yeah, I feel really good. Obviously we traded for DK. DK is going to be an impact player for us. But I saw how the growth in Calvin Austin last year, and that was cool to see. Watching Roman Wilson this offseason, it's been really great to see his progress and where he's at. And I think we would have seen some of it last year if he would have towards the end of last year if he would have had the opportunity to play. We acquired Robert Woods, a veteran leader in that room. So I feel really good about that position.
Omar, you received your own contract extension in the offseason. What does that mean to you personally, and how do you view the opportunity to continue leading this team for the next handful of years and beyond?
Yeah, obviously there's pressure. Our goal is to win a Super Bowl, and that's what I'm striving for. I'm very appreciative to Art Rooney for this opportunity, and I feel like I owe it to him and to the organization, to the fans, to do everything I can to win the Super Bowl. I mean, that's what they want. That's what I want. So that's our goal.
Omar, your history, your strength has been on the money side. Has there been something of a chip on your shoulder to prove that you're a personnel guy too?
No, not really a chip. I worked very closely with Kevin Colbert for 20-something years, and him and I probably spent more time with each other than we did with our families. We were together all the time. So, I feel like my time with him allowed me to learn the different parts of the business.
On the flip side,
two more.
All those trades, though.
What's that?
What would Kevin say about all those trades?
When you see him, you should ask him. I'm curious to see what he would say.
On the flip
All
side,
right, 2 more here. 2 more right now.
Did 25 years of contract negotiations, does that skill set pay off then when you're communicating with another general manager and trying to negotiate a trade?
That's an interesting question. I would say this: when you talk to other general managers, the key is relationships and the relationships you have, and the ability to have honest conversations. That's the key, and this is for things to get done. It has to be really both sides have to feel like it's a win-win, and so I'd say just having the ability to to build relationships and have honest conversations and be upfront about what everyone's goals are. It's a key to.
Omar, have you found
Final one.
Have you found it difficult to build for the now while protecting the future? I know you mentioned it a little bit earlier, but how fine of a line is that to, get both sides accounted for right there?
Yeah, it's important. Like I said, I think when I talked to some of you guys at the league meetings, you mentioned it. We always kept in mind what our draft capital situation would be next year, and we're staring at probably 10 to 12 picks next year, and we really weren't willing to stray away from or give up too many of those picks with some of the stuff that we've done. So it's important. We're aware of it. I think when you look ahead, I think when you guys asked about the age factor, it's don't really, you're not really there saying, okay, this guy's too old or this and that, but we're trying to win this year, but we also understand that there's just going to be a natural youth movement next year when you have 10 to 12 draft picks available to you. So but we're excited. I'm going to start my meetings with the scouts later this week, and we understand what we have available to us. So they always do a great job, work really hard. We're just going to have to work a little harder this year because we have lots of picks.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, man.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Also, we'll be bringing Coach down after the conditioning run, probably around 5:15, just as an FYI.
Thank you for checking out this content from Post-Gazette Sports. If you watch this video on YouTube, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. For all of the sports coverage the Post-Gazette has to offer, visit post-gazette.com.